I will make those who stay the envy of those who return." When Alexander ended, there was a long silence. The officers present were not willing to accept what he had said, until at last Cinas, son of Polemocrates, plucked up his courage to speak. "I judge it best to set some limit to further enterprise. You know the number of Greeks and Macedonians who started upon this campaign, and you can see how many of us are left today. The Thessalians you sent home from Bactra because you knew their hearts were no longer in their work, and it was wisely done. Other Greeks have been settled in the new towns you have founded, where they remain not always willingly. Others, again, together with our own Macedonians, continue to share with you the dangers and hardships of war, and of these some have been killed. Some, disabled by wounds, have been left behind in various parts of Asia, and more still have died of sickness, so that only a few from that great army are left, a small remnant, broken in health, their old vigor and determination gone. Every man of them longs to see his parents again, if they yet survive, or his wife, or his children. All are yearning for the familiar earth of home, hoping pardonably enough to live to revisit it, no longer in poverty and obscurity, but famous and enriched by the treasure you have enabled them to win. Do not try to lead men who are unwilling to follow you. If their heart is not in it, you will never find the old spirit or the old courage. Consent rather yourself to return to your mother and your home. Once there, you may bring good government to Greece and enter your ancestral house with all the glory of the many great victories won in this campaign. And then, should you so desire it, you may begin again and undertake a new expedition against these Indians of the East. It is for you to decide. Other troops, Greek and Macedonian, will follow you. Young, fresh troops to take the place of your war-weary veterans. Still ignorant of the horrors of war and full of hope for what the future may bring, these men will follow you with all the more eagerness in that they have seen your old campaigners come safely home again, no longer poor and nameless, but loaded with money and fame. Sir, if there is one thing above all others a successful man should know, it is when to stop. Assuredly, for a commander like yourself, with an army like ours, there is nothing to fear from any enemy. But luck, remember, is an unpredictable thing, and against what it may bring, no man has any defense. Cinas's words were greeted with applause. Some even wept, which was proof enough of their reluctance to prolong the campaign, and of how happy they would be should the order be given to turn back. Alexander resented the freedom with which Cinas had spoken, and the poor spirit shown by the other officers, and dismissed the conference. Next day he summoned the same officers to his presence, and angrily declared that though he would put pressure on no Macedonian to accompany him, he himself was resolved to go on. "I shall have others," he cried, "who will need no compulsion to follow their king. If you wish to go home, you are at liberty to do so, and you may tell your people there that you deserted your king in the midst of his enemies." Thereupon he withdrew to his tent, and for the rest of that day and for 2 days following, refused to allow anyone to see him. When, however, the omens proved to be against him, he at last submitted, and, having sent for the most senior officers of his companions and those who were his own closest friends, made a public announcement that, as all circumstances combined to dissuade him from a further advance, he had decided upon withdrawal. One can imagine the shouts of joy which rose from the throats of that heterogeneous host. Most of them wept. They came to Alexander's tent and called down every blessing upon him for allowing them to prevail. The only defeat he had ever suffered.